Evil is real. On today's Playing with Fire podcast, we're catching up with ex-psychic Jenn Nizza. She's joining the show today to issue a dire warning. That warning comes after Fox News host Jesse Watters interviewed a psychic on his show recently. Her name is Paula Roberts, and not only did he interview the psychic, she basically did a tarot card reading on Fox News in front of millions of viewers. And we won't get too deep into that now. Jenn and I will talk about it, but Jenn is here to talk about why that's concerning, why we should pay attention to it, and what tarot cards actually mean. Are there something special about those cards? Are they a farce? Are they a hoax? Or is something more diabolical possible when people use them? With no further ado, I will welcome Jenn Nizza to Playing with Fire. Jenn Nizza, it's been a little bit of time since you and I have gotten together to talk about some of the issues we see happening in culture, particularly when it comes to the New Age, to the occult. There was a very strange moment this week on Fox News where a psychic tarot card reader was brought in to do readings around the 2024 election surrounding Donald Trump and Joe Biden. Before we get into what happened on Fox itself, the woman who came on the show, her name is Paula Roberts, and I know you did a little bit of digging just into who she is. What can you tell us about her?
Yeah, she definitely seems to be in the psychic, I don't want to say the psychic game, but the psychic world for years. She takes it very seriously. She does not seem to be a huckster or a charlatan at all. She did paranormal investigation, which is also known as ghost hunting. She called herself a clairvoyant counselor. She means it. And you unfortunately can even tell that on the clip. I don't know if you thought that, Billy, but when I watched a clip of her on Fox News, you could see how serious she was about this. She is a real diviner.
Yeah. Well, and you, just so people know, and we've talked about this, we've had you on, you are an ex-psychic. You did this. I mean, this was part of your life from the time that you were a very young girl all the way into deep into your adulthood. You were a professional psychic. It started as, I'll say fun and hobbies. You were intrigued and it moved into professional. And so you did these readings. This was something before you became a Christian that you did routinely. And what was your reaction to seeing, and we see this again and again in Hollywood, in mainstream shows, and reality TV, psychics and necromancy, all of these things happening. But what was your reaction to seeing this on a news show?
Oh, I was definitely surprised. And, for example, my parents sit back and they watch Fox News and they love Jesse Watters. And I'm just thinking about people like my parents, people out there like my parents that are sitting home, they're retired and they're watching Fox News, and then they're being exposed to divination. And I thank God that my parents know that it's wrong because of my life and my testimony. But many people are not aware and may think it's entertainment. And I was really disappointed to see a news program pushing this out there and even making light of it, making it seem like it's just entertainment and a joke and it's funny and no big deal. That's not what it is. And it doesn't matter if you think it's entertainment or not. The outcome is going to be the same because it really is demonic.
Let's talk about that, right? Because you just gave that warning that, this is really a demonic practice. And you mentioned a couple of things there. Some people might laugh it off. It might be made light of. Oh, let's just do this. It's a parlor trick. It's fun. Let's talk about the real danger here of this, because what was happening in that segment, she was using something called tarot cards. So let's start there. Tarot cards, they look like a card deck, like a regular card deck, but they're not quite just a regular card deck, are they?
No, not at all. Although that was the intention back in I think it was the late 15th century, a card game in Italy called tarocchi, but actually got into the hands of an occultist. And that was when those pictures started getting channeled, interpretations were getting channeled in the occult, okay? So what that means is that card is a piece of cardboard with a painting on it that has no knowledge about you, has no wisdom in your life, has no power to do anything but the demonic forces that you are now inviting because you're practicing divination. You're seeking those cards for esoteric knowledge. So you have entered into divination, you've opened demonic doors, and it's the demonic entities that are providing the information. through the, like I said, through the interpretations in the little books that come with the tarot cards. There's a little pamphlet in there. That's the, meanings of the cards. And then the psychic themselves are receiving extra information clairvoyantly while they are doing these readings. But those cards know nothing about you.
Yeah, it's about the force that you're tapping into, right? Similar with, the Ouija board and these other tools that, there's a whole history to the Ouija board that's complex and strange and disturbing. But these are tools that are used to channel. And you did this, again, professionally. For those who will say, oh, it's not true, it's all made up, what would you say coming out of that lifestyle, what you experienced, what you saw, to help them understand the severity of engaging in this sort of activity?
When you enter into divination, you are bound to get the consequences that come with it. And of course, I didn't know at the time. I thought I was helping people, but I entered into the demonic realm and I had anxiety. I had destruction all around me, which I wouldn't have credited to demons, of course. Except there were times that I saw very evil things. I saw demons manifest. I was heavily afflicted. Demonic oppression is a result of entering into these readings, getting into these readings. It's not a game. It's not a parlor trick. And even out there with the charlatans and the hucksters or whatever, you're still entering into it. So you're opening the demonic door. And I think it's important for people to know, well, why are you saying it's demonic? Why can't it be something good? Because God condemns it. He's clear about that. So it's not a gift from God. So some people, Billy, think it's either entertainment or they have a gift. And this is just to help people and to guide people. But Satan masquerades as an angel of light. So he's going to make it look one way, even like a joke. However, he has to do it to deceive you, to lead you. And I know I kind of added on to your question.
No, it's great.
Please know that God is not man that he should lie. So he's not going to give you a gift of something that he condemns. He really cares about us. He loves us and he wants us to stay far away from demons. So you're tapping into the spirit realm. You're going supernatural for esoteric knowledge. Okay. You're going away from God. You're going to psychics. It's the counterfeit version of prophecy. And like I said, this is the warning. Now you've opened the door to demons. And this is what kills me about it in our culture. You're exposing people. Now Fox News is exposing people, these people all around the world, whoever's watching, right, to demons. Even just putting the thought in their minds, like, oh, I wonder that maybe that's what's going to happen. And we live in a culture right now and a time where there's so much tension, where there's so much anxiety. There's not peace in the nations. There's a lot of things going on and people really want to know things.
Yeah, well, and that's one of the things here that is so interesting, watching sort of what unfolded there, because you have this popular show. You have a lot of people, as you were saying, watching it, and they're watching somebody offer predictions on who's going to win. And I'm not even going to get into what she had to say about it because we don't need to go there. But who's going to win the election? Who's not going to win? What's going to happen to different people? One of the questions people will have, especially those who are skeptical of this, they'll say, well, these people can't really predict the future. What would you say to that? Help people understand that piece of it, because you did this, again, for a living. This is what you did. Are these abilities real with tarot cards, with other tools? Are they not? Can the future really be predicted?
The ability is absolutely real. It's really demonic. And demons make predictions, which I call good guesses. They have a very high accuracy rate because demons are old, intelligent, powerful creatures. We see a rank of them in Ephesians 6:12, the principalities, the authorities, etc. So they've been observing, they've been watching. So how they make their predictions is based on watching the patterns, watching mankind for years and years. But the thing is, Billy, they're not God, so they don't know everything. This is your next destructive danger. Okay, so now you're hanging on, because in a reading you're going to hear something accurate. There's always going to be something accurate because whatever the demons have seen already, they can report with 100% accuracy. Going forward, they can't, because they are not God. They are not omniscient. So they're making this prediction, and now you're hooked based on a couple of the other things, and now you're putting your faith and trust into an outcome determined by a demon who doesn't really know the future. And man himself, you and I can make a prediction and have a good level of accuracy, and we're human beings. We're not fallen angels.
Yeah, and looking at people's patterns, right? How does Jenn Nizza behave? What does she do? What have her family members done in the past? What are the things that Jen struggles with? What does she enjoy? These are the things that if you hypothetically, and I'm saying this even to skeptics, if a being can watch these things and observe them, they have a much easier way of coming up with as you said, a good guess of what might happen in the future. In your own experience, how often were the things that you were channeling coming to fruition for people?
It was pretty often. It was a very high percentage of accuracy, but it would never have been and could never be 100%. But it was definitely up there. I mean, my whole business was word of mouth. People, the information, of course, like I said, that had already things that had already happened were reported with 100% accuracy, and the future information 98, 99%. But like you said, Billy, I mean, you have a family, you see what they do, and if I asked you, this is what your kids do every day for 30 days, on the 31st day, Billy, what do you predict they're going to do at
Right,
8
right.
a.m., 9 a.m.? You're going to have a 98, 99% accuracy, right? So, but
Yeah,
you are not God, so you really
right.
won't know.
And the Bible explicitly, and that's the piece of this that we, just to kind of drive it home, tells us do not engage with these things. And in fact, those who do, I mean, we see this throughout scripture. We see it again, I believe, in Revelation, talking about, witchcraft and being involved in these things. You are not headed to spend your eternity with Christ. You are headed in the opposite direction. These are not tools when you're living a lifestyle embroiled in this that we are intended to be engaging with or using. And so that's interesting because, again, it's Old Testament, New Testament. We see that throughout. And you have a whole ministry where you're talking about this all the time. You have a podcast,
Mhm.
Ex Psychic Saved. It's on the Edify Podcast Network. It's an incredible show where you tackle way beyond just tarot cards. You get into so many
Mhm.
different topics. What continues to drive that passion for you now as a Christian to help other people step out of this world?
Winning souls, Billy, because you're absolutely right. I believe it's Revelation 21:8 that says that sorcerers will have the second death, the lake of fire. God, in his grace, set me free out of this 10 years ago, and I am on fire for Jesus. And I cannot stand seeing people demonically oppressed. I cannot stand people being deceived by the devil. It's everywhere. I see it. I know it. I lived it. And I'm here to warn other people about it. So what drives me is the Lord Jesus. I have a heart.
Well, where can people go? Obviously they can go Ex Psychic Save. They should subscribe to it on Apple, wherever podcasts are heard. Where can they go to read more about you, to find you on social media, maybe?
Sure. You can go to my website, www.xpsychicsaved.com, and links to my podcast are there, YouTube, social media platforms, etc. And my
Well,
book.
Jenn, as always, I appreciate you taking the time today.
Oh, thanks, Billy. It's always a pleasure. God bless you.
That's all for today's Playing with Fire podcast. Be sure to tune in for another episode very soon. And I know I've heard from some of you asking when we'll have more regular episodes of the show. We took a little bit of a holiday break, but we are back, and you can expect more episodes every other week here on Playing with Fire. We'll see you again very soon.